Hey there, Chef. Welcome to In the Kitchen. What are you making for us today?
Well, I wanted to demo Beef Wellington. It's actually a dish that, since I've been here, we've had it once. And we haven't had it since then because it wasn't done correctly. And we're going to give it another shot next week. And actually, I think we have some parameters in place so that come up a little bit that time when we had it once before. So
Many moons ago?
Many moons ago, yes.
Almost 2 years now.
Yes. Yeah, well, year and a half. I think it was New Year's from 2019. Anyway, so there's some different components to Beef Wellington. There's the actual beef, which you want to have medium rare.
There's no attachment. Sorry.
Okay, so there's different components to the Beef Wellington, and it's actually the beef which you want to keep medium rare, and then it is wrapped with, there's some Dijon mustard, and that helps the mushroom duxelle adhere to it. And the mushroom duxelle actually, when you think about it, it actually acts as an insulator because and then it's wrapped with pastry, and you want that pastry nice and brown and a little bit of crunch to it. So you have the hot temperature of the oven, and you want to keep the inside of the beef medium rare. So some different components to it, and we're going to kind of go through some of that now. And it's actually an interesting way to think about it. You know, the mushrooms and actually the prosciutto are actually on that side. I'm going to go through real quickly the mushroom duxelle. And actually, one of the things while cooking it is usually moisture is a good thing. For this application, it's kind of a bad thing. We don't want to be steaming that beef. We want to have it with more of a dry heat. So when actually making the mushroom duxelle, we need to be making sure that we're getting rid of as much moisture as possible, so that way that beef doesn't steam.
Safety first, Rich.
Beef Wellington is so beautiful.
It is. It is really beautiful. The pastry gives you a lot of opportunity to be playful with the presentation. Whether you do a netting or different designs on the exterior, it allows you to kind of really have a creative outlet, the inner artiste, if you will. So what are you chopping up here, Chef?
I have some shallots, and primarily for the mushroom duxelle, we're going to be using mushrooms and shallots. We're going to be sauteing with some butter. For this specific application, you don't want the mushroom duxelle to be a paste. I still want it to have some some body to it. And actually, I'm going to be using the amount of shallots I'm going to be using is about 50%. Compared to the mushrooms, so there's going to be a lot of shallots in it.
So is there a reason why you use a shallot versus a regular onion?
Shallots are sweeter.
And you want this to have a nice dice, right?
Yes. I'm going to be dicing them pretty small, so that way they cook quickly, and that way you don't get, when you bite into it, you're not getting like an onion or a shallot flavor. It's going to be, the focus is about the mushrooms.
So this technique you're doing, this is the classic way culinary trained way to chop an onion, is that right?
Yes, it is.
So you want to cut into the onion on the side and then create downward length strokes, and then you're going to cut across that again from the top to create a nice, evenly diced onion or shallot. So chef, do you know what chef is the most well-known for Wellingtons? This is an easy one.
Is it a female or male?
It is a male.
American or
Not American.
not American? Jacques Pepin?
No, actually Gordon Ramsay
Gordon Ramsay? Really?
takes claim to the most beef Wellingtons sold across all of his restaurants. Is actually his version of the dish is the most famed dish in the world.
So what's different in his than a normal?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. Obviously, as a vegetarian, I don't have the opportunity to sample all the different variations, but as they say, his show is kind of kitchen. He said they said the devil is in the details, and he puts such strong pressure on any individual that prepares that dish that it's just executed flawlessly every single time. So.
It's very true because it is a simple. I don't think it's a very complicated dish. It's very few ingredients to it, and if you prep it out ahead of time, it's going to come out great. The problems occur if you cook it too long. Obviously, you're going to have a well done steak, which happened here, and just properly. Like I was saying, insulating it, it's gonna just turn out fine.
Yeah. So essentially you want to make sure that the pastry is well sealed around all of the contents. You want to make sure that there's no breakages or cracks or anything like that, because it's going to allow any of that steam or the moisture that is cooking inside that pastry to evaporate and essentially steaming out any potential cooking liquids or juices that are actually cooking inside that pastry. So chef, what kind of mushrooms are these?
I have some oyster mushrooms. I guess if that's all you had were button mushrooms, you could use them, but I thought these would be a little bit nicer flavor.
Yeah, and then that's a different variation as well. Different chefs use different mushrooms. They have slightly different flavor profiles and things like that. But you can always use what you have on hand. Not everybody has gourmet ingredients readily available at their disposal in their home, but you don't have to have the most expensive mushroom on the market to make a great dish. So what kind of a chop are you looking for here, chef? Is it a fine dice, a rough dice?
I'm just doing a rough chop on the mushrooms just to, they're gonna shrink when they cook. Mushrooms are about 80% water anyway, so we need to be removing as much moisture out of there as possible.
Do you think that could be one reason why sometimes the pastry gets too wet, is that people haven't rendered out the...
Yes. Yeah, that's the trick, is making sure that the mushrooms are cooked properly so you do not have a lot of that liquid left from the mushrooms. Does anybody saute mushrooms at home? Mm-hmm. You'll notice that oftentimes you see a lot of that liquid coming out, so you want to make sure that cook them properly before you even started to add them into the wrapping method of making them. Is that correct?
Yes.
So typically, how long does it take to cook down the duxelle?
Probably about 10 minutes, but this is one of the key points where you really don't want to be taking a shortcut with it. Take the time, cook, get rid of the liquid. Get rid of as much liquid as possible, and it's really one of the, foundations of that. So, and then also there's another, while that's cooking, I also sliced up some prosciutto, and I don't think that's on a lot of or a lot of people may not know about the prosciutto aspect of that too. But I've seen a lot of people make it and they skip this, but we're adding it today to our Beef Wellington.
So would you say if you skip this step, chef, guess with the prosciutto being really salty, do you think you need to add more salt to the dish?
Yes, you would. I didn't, just because of the saltiness of the prosciutto, the outside of the beef, when I seared it off, I did not, I put some salt and pepper on it, but not too much, just because to compensate for the prosciutto factor.
Is the prosciutto more like ham or bacon?
It is a more potent ham, if you will, more salty, it's a little more refined than a ham.
It is, it's an Italian, it's a cured ham, and it has a very distinct flavor, and also the texture is different than a traditional, I guess, American ham. It's firmer. So the duxelle is almost there, and before I utilize this, I'm going to add a little red wine to it, just give it a little more flavor. And then we're going to let that cook down, and so the mushrooms are dry again.
So I see you have the prosciutto wrapped inside of 2 layers of plastic dish. Is there a purpose for that?
Actually, we just need the bottom part. I wrapped it in 2 pieces to so we'll dry it out.
So if you went to the butcher at the market, would you ask them to cut it thin?
Yes, when I was talking with the cooks that I wanted the cook slice this up for me on the slicer, I told them I wanted as thin as possible, but I still wanted to keep it whole. I didn't want it to be shredded apart. So, and also, and speaking of going to the butcher, for example, I cleaned a whole tenderloin here, which is still a pretty big piece of meat. And usually for Beef Wellington, you only use this part right here, which is utilized for the Beef Wellington, or you could call it, it's called the cannon as well, just the main part right here. The tail part, it's thinner, so it's gonna cook quicker than the center section as well. And this part here, which is usually called the head or the dog ear, again, this piece here is a little too large compared to the other part. You want to have a nice even temp. You want it to cook the same from end to end. So this is what you'll be looking for when going to your butcher. For example, or if you're going to do it yourself, you clean it, and then this is the part you primarily use.
So what is the part that you clean it called, Chef?
Actually, there's another part here that's usually on there, and it's called the chain. And that there's a lot of fat and silver skin connecting that, and it usually comes off. You can usually get most of it off with your hands, or a little bit of using a knife, just barely. There's still meat in there, but primarily chefs use like that meat there for might be used for like a beef skewer. Takes a little bit of time and patience to turn on.
How does that the butcher do it?
Yes. So I have my duxelle here, and it is pretty rendered off. The liquid from the mushrooms, and then when we add the wine again, cook that down as well. I laid out my prosciutto on the plastic wrap, and I'm gonna cut a piece of this beef here and do a quick little demo on that as well. Since cooking
So Chef, I noticed that there's some herbs and some other items on there. What do you have already on the tenderloin here?
There's a little bit of olive oil, and then there's some fresh herbs in it as well, just to add a little flavor to the beef.
So is this a required step, or is this a step that is a chef-like specialty?
I guess it's just, myself, again, I was just trying to impart some more flavor to it. And again, we're just gonna be using this center part. I'm not saying that you need to throw this away, but it could be used for other dishes as well. A lot of times, like even for here, like the tips here, we actually use for like beef stroganoff, things like that. Just another kind of piece of beef where you can utilize that.
So what you're taking off here is off the silver skin, correct?
Some people enjoy a little fat left on their steak, but not for a beef tenderloin. You really want it to be lean. That's really what it's meant for. It's a well-marbled piece of meat. Actually, just looking at it, you can see there's some fat in there, but the silver skin is not something you really want to be chewing on or to be eating.
It smells really good in here.
It does look really good. So Chef, while you're trimming that up, do you know where about Beef Wellington got its name?
I'm sure there was a great, famous, important person that parked that, so.
Well, it's not 100% factual, obviously. It's not almost all food dishes are not 100% nailed down, but it's believed that it was created in celebration of the first Duke of Wellington after the victory at the Battle of Waterloo in June 1850.
It's a good, I guess, reason why that's
I suppose so.
So I'm going to take a little bit of Dijon mustard and I'm going to actually spread it all over the beef. Actually, you really don't get a big, strong or mustard flavor to it. Actually, I mean, some of the acid, you know, that is in the mustard helps tenderize the beef as well. And this, for this specific purpose, it's going to be helping the mustard adhere to the meat.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, Chef. In most cases, you can actually use a Dijon mustard as a tenderizer, and not necessarily that filet tenderloin needs this type of tenderization, but you could use the same application in other meats.
Yes, actually, rack lamb is traditionally it's the meat gets seared, it gets cleaned, and then it gets seared, and then Dijon mustard, and then after it's been in the Dijon mustard, actually it's dipped in like the breadcrumbs. So it's a great dish, a great item. So when I did this earlier, I actually took the mushrooms and I actually put them on top of the prosciutto, and then I put the beef on top of that. So I'm going to do that here. Really wasn't planning on demoing this down here, that's why I have the pictures for it, but normally there'd be more mushrooms coating it from end to end, and then placing the beef on top of that, and then actually using the plastic wrap to help wrap it, tack on to it. And the last and final part of the Beef Wellington is actually the crust itself. You can use puff pastry, which you can get at the grocery store in the freezer section. If you're feeling really ambitious, you can make the dough yourself. Just roll it out a little bit. Just need to stretch it out, and then you're gonna place the beef on top.
That looks pretty just like that.
So again, we want to keep actually, before that, I should have seared the beef off, sorry about that. The little thing that I missed there. And then brush this with egg wash. And then, like I said, evenly stretch it a little bit.
So Chef, would you say that this is a novice, or you need a little bit more culinary experience to execute a perfect Wellington?
I mean, I don't think this is a difficult thing to, I think the only thing that might be a little difficult is cleaning the beef, but you can get that from the butcher, so. After that, it's pretty basic.
So, can you imagine how many of these, knowing that Gordon Ramsay is known for Beef Wellington, it's his most popular dish, can you imagine how many, at just his restaurants, the steak on the Las Vegas Strip sells every single day?
No, I don't know.
400, at a minimum, of these every single day, obviously in a smaller or more individualized portion, but at Gordon Ramsay's standard and his level of expertise that he requires when wrapping these, could you imagine doing 400 of these at a minimum every single day? At just one restaurant?
Actually, a lot of places, and I used to work at a restaurant, and we used to actually make individual cut the fillets, and we would use roll out the puff paper and use so that's probably what they're serving there, so that way the meat stays to the temperature that the person wants.
Plus that way too, you get plenty of the crust.
And actually, his version of the Wellingtons became so popular, they started selling an experience called the Wellington Experience, which is a dinner for two that's quite expensive. And that's paired with a red wine. So it is a night where you can actually go and partake, and that is all that is served on the menu for the evening.
So after it's wrapped up, we'll put the egg wash, and in the oven it goes. Actually,
Do you also use the egg wash to seal that pastry around the?
yes, most definitely. It's probably some of those secret little tips that people leave out that you may get.
Well, and I know that it's warm in here, and so I know your pastry, were having a hard time with the pastry, because normally you'd have it cold, and I'm sure.
Yes, and some flour.
It was giving you a little bit of a hard time.
So after it gets baked off, we have our.
Wow. Magic of television.
Magic of television, yes. So we have our Beef Wellington here that is off already. About how long did it take, Dave?
It was almost 40 minutes.
So it took about 40 minutes,
Yes.
At what temperature?
400.
400.
So the hotter temperature is therefore to get the pastry brown. So, and again, we're using a meat thermometer to also check and make sure the meat wasn't overcooking.
Where would you put the thermometer?
We want to put it in the thickest part, and we want to, when you actually take in the temperature, try and take. You don't want to be poking holes all through it, because then the blood is going to actually come out of it. So just you know, need to get
Thickest
it.
part from the side, from,
Just the thickest part. We did it right here.
okay.
So what do you got in the pan there, Chef?
I have some carrots that we roasted off upstairs, and it's gonna have them on a plate. But they have some nice color to them. Oh, and then also cutting the beef itself.
So this is not something you want to cut on the wire, is that right, Chef?
No, you're right about that. We just want to make some just straight cuts across. I don't have another cutting board and there was raw meat on it. So I'm just gonna use the pan. I know it's gonna not be too good for the knife. But you can hear the crunch from the pastry.
So typically, how thick do you want a slice of Wellington from a full roast like this? About an inch?
I was gonna do 2 slices. So whenever they hear it, they recognize the type, so it's actually coming out pretty intact. Right now I can smell a bit of the mustard, but I'm sure it's not going to impact the flavor too much. So I mean, here, there's always somebody who usually asks for something a little more well done, which is on the ends, but primarily the middle part of it here, you still see the pink there.